Hello everyone. Today's topic is, as I have promised, about speaking about ethical Indian armed forces. So you might have a hint about armed forces. That means I am talking about Air Force, Army, Navy, all the armed wings of Indian uh, Republic of India. But the Indian Army is one of the few armies in the world that has never started a war, and it has been recognized for its counterinsurgencies efforts. They've only fought to either save India from enemies, infiltration, or by providing aid to allies. This is the best part of Indian Army, that Indian Army has never agitated any kind of war in which itself has indulged in it. So our country's soldiers set the most excellent example of selfless service and brotherhood, and above all, love for the country. The bravery of the Major Omnikishan lost his life in saving 14 hostages during the year 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack is a shining example of it. So this is the brave heart of Indian soldiers. They literally live and die for the country. The Indian Army holds the record for accepting the largest military surrender during the year 1971. You must have all read about the Indo-Pak War, in which 93,000 Pakistani army soldiers. What started out of this rescue mission turned into a 13-day war that Indian Army fought tooth and nail. This was a very kind of changing scenario of giving birth to a new country known as Bangladesh. And there is a signed agreement between Shimla Agreement, which is known as, you have learned in history and civics, and it is a very determination of the army that we still see today, and they proudly protect our boundaries. So boundaries are protected by our armed forces, our armies. So these are the persons who actually stay the whole night, all sorts of climatic conditions, all sorts of, I must say, nature's all the effects, nature's all fury, and then still they are standing for the country. That's why we sleep, that's why we eat, that's why we can do work freely in our country. Still, some of the people in countries, like politicians, say that we are not having any liberty. What sort of liberty do you want? Do you want to do some kind of break dance or do some kind of salsa on the middle of the square on a road? Is it so? So this is not the way how we should treat our armed forces. Our armed forces are the respected forces in the entire world, most ethical forces. So Indian soldiers are considered as one of the best in high elevation jungle combat, mountain warfare. Siachen conflict is one of the excellent example of mountain warfare. I must say that the conflict between India and Pakistan over the disputed Siachen Glacier and the Kashmir is a common knowledge. But did you know that it was Indian Army Colonel Narendra Kumar's or a politics strategy that paved to way the India's victory? Protecting your country almost about 50-degree temperature, minus 50, at 16,000 feet above sea level requires unfathomable dedication. This is really hard for all of us to even imagine what they did. Despite Iran's, you might have heard about the one of the, I must not say India's allies, but always against India and in favor of Pakistan, Iran. Iran, harsh reality and history. India is quite keen in maintaining relations, which is why Indian Army is the process of developing a seaport, Chabar port in Iran, which will open a new route between India, Iran, and Afghanistan, and that bypasses Pakistan. This goes to show how much of a long-term realistic India in terms of visualizing future advancements. So we give equal importance to all our neighbors. Even if Pakistan actually works on the way it is now behaving, if it can change its behavior, change can mentality, so it can literally hold hands of our country India and can progress. But you always know there's always a stubborn kid in the family. Did you know that Indian Army had built the highest bridge in the world, the Bailey Bridge in Ladakh, in at about 19,827, built between the Dras River and Sur River in the Ladakh Valley? It is one of the finest pieces of military engineering anyone has ever witnessed in the entire history of civil engineering. This is the greatest thing. The Indian Army is one of the biggest contributors in UN's peace operations and has conducted large peacetime exercises in operations like Brass Tracks. It is also the largest in the controversial military exercise South Asia has ever seen since the World War II. It was at a point that Indian Army proved its proficiency in advancement of electronic tank and warfare systems also. So this is the best part of India in terms of visualizing what is exactly and what will happen in future. So this is somewhat which is very necessary nowadays, that we should understand. Nowadays the kids and even the family members or even the elders are not much interested in talking about those people who actually live, breathe and die for us so that we can be okay, we can work, we can eat good, we can sleep well. So we should be thankful, but we all are not thankful. That's a very sad situation, I must say. I must say that it will take many episodes and many chapters to describe the bravery of Indian soldiers and Indian Army and Indian Armed Forces. But the successful stories of Indian Army's victorious past will swell your heart with pride. Some of the iconic victories I must discuss with you so that you can have some knowledge refreshment, because right now you all are addicted to phones and laptops and gossips and then TV serials or those sorts of Saas Bahu type serials. So I must say you have to get out of those all those unproductive things and get into a productive mindset to think all this. The first war was Kargil. It marked a glorious win over Indian Army against the Pakistani forces, which actually illegally infiltrated in the Indian territory known as the Vijay Divas. And the Kargil conflict is considered as to be the one of the most ferocious and intellectual wars ever fought by the Indian Army. Then there was a Chola incident, the day-long military conflict between the Indian Army and the members of the Chinese People's Liberation Army in Sikkim had one conclusion, that India's victory. Then there was liberation of Goa in spite of India negotiating with Portugal about the later surrendering and their control over Goa. Daman and Diu, the former, never gave up. India launched an Operation Vijay to take Goa from the Portuguese Empire within 26 hours, and Goa and Daman and Diu became a part of India. India's unwavering determination and left many stunned. So next one is of liberation of Dadar and Nagar Haveli, one of the most uh, Portuguese fought for to control these territories, but there was Indian Army which did everything. Second and third, Indo-Pak War. The Indo-Pak War is a clear-cut show of India's determination, the fight against all odds. And there was another operation known as Operation Cactus. When Maldives needed help, the Indian Army came for rescue. Yes, we have always got everyone's back. Right now, Maldives is behaving with us like we did nothing. So that's also a kind of mischievous kid in the family, like Pakistan. So I must relate, Pakistan and Maldives are like cousin brothers. So little did we know that Indian Air Force has an outstation base in Tajikistan, and it has been gearing up another such outstation in Afghanistan as we speak. The coming up stations of Indian Army, Air Force and various tactical forces will be in Afghanistan also in the year 2025, and in Tajikistan also. India is asked by Southeastern Asian countries to build their military establishments in their countries so that they can be protected from any kind of insurgencies or terrorist attacks. So I must say Indian Army is having a lot more capability rather than US forces and other world powers, because India itself is a world power which can help any of the country in any of the situations. So 700 personals were airlifted by Indian Army in 110 raids over 36 hours in the top secret when the Pakistani Army destroyed the bridge during the Bangladesh Liberation War. As mentioned, when India is needed, India is always standing. Now, can you guess who trains foreign armies from UK, US, and Russia? A very surprising fact. Many of the people who are listening this have a conception that Europeans are, or European armies or NATO is much more advanced than us. So let me be very clear. The Indian Military Academy of Dehradun and Counter Insurgencies of Jungle Warfare School of Mizoram is the training institute for UK, US and Russian soldiers to counter any kind of insurgencies and militant attacks or guerrilla attacks if they are being in their country. So we are the experts. We are the experts who train these big names whom we called as world powers. I must also speak about 1985 battle between India and Pakistan, the battle of the Asal Uttar, and that lasted for 3 days, changed the course for the war completely. It was one of the largest tank battles ever fought in India, and guess what? India succeeded in that. India managed to test the nuclear arsenals in 1970s and 1990s without the CIA's knowledge. So we can also say that CIA is not so smart like RAW. We Indians are having much more capability. We are not just wheatish or blackish color. We are the persons with bright future. So one of the world's best lethal killers, the para commandos of Indian Armed Forces, are trained in India. There is a reason of having the 7th best army in the world. So in terms of personals or working category, we stand in the 3rd largest army, and in the terms of the reasoning of tacticals and other armaments, we belong to the 7th. In firepower, we have a rating of 3rd in the entire world this year. So India is the 6th country in the world to build its own nuclear submarine after US, Russia, France, UK and China. The INS Chakra is a symbol of India's strength and their passion to be the best among the superpowers. So Indian Air Force has also been a personalization for the greatness, and in fact I must say that the 4th largest air force in the world, also the Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, we called it as HAL. We have all learned in general knowledge in 7th and 8th standard, and I hope many of you have forgot it. So it is the largest aerospace company of all Asia, and we have been collaborated with Indo-Russia Aerospace, which is known as BrahMos. So India also has Indian Air Force base as Fakor in Tajikistan. Again, it is deliberately positioned in the efficiently compact enemies, which goes prove India's highest intelligence level. Even Tajikistan is also taking help of Indian Army. So sure, we'll all talk about the Operation Trident. We cannot forget the Trident operation. And most probably had no clue that India first saw the use of anti-ship missiles during the combat between Pakistan port city of Karachi. India didn't suffer, but Pakistan had to pay a huge price. So we celebrate Navy Day on the 4th of December every year in the remembrance of the Navy's praise against Karachi port attack that is known as Operation Trident. So this is all about Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy. Indian Armed Forces deserves a round of applause. But we Indians, we never talk about them. We just believe that we are not so powerful. We always see America, we always see China, we always see Russia, we always see UK, Canada. I must say, you should be proud of your soldiers. Your soldiers themselves are like machines, killing machines. If they have once decided to conquer something, none of the world, if the entire world stands at one side and India stands on another side, I must say India will vanish every other country. every other thing. But Indian Armed Forces has a tendency never to attack first. That's why in other countries the armed forces are known as attack forces or combat forces. In India, it is known as defense forces. So, with this thought, I, I must say, many of you I have refreshed regarding historical knowledge about Indian Armed Forces, which you must have forgot it in day to day of your life, in your jobs, in collecting money, in depositing money, in expendituring money, and sometimes in unproductive talks and unproductive discussions within among you. So I must just suggest you one thing: try to be productive. Try to think out of the box. If you're not thinking out of the box, I bet life will you in life will throw you from the box. With this thought, good night, and do take care. Lot of water. Consume a lot of water because it's summer right now. So take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Be happy. Be logical. Be productive, and stay away from negative people because negative people never help you to just actually calibrate yourself to the greatest height. So just be honest with your country, love your country, and respect your armed forces. That's all from my side. Good night.